Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Fired up today. I've got a brother from another mother. We're both into networking, your networks, your net worth, how you do that, how you connect. And, it's like looking in the mirror today, and I'm super excited about that. But we dedicate this podcast exploring the idea of making an impact with the servant's heart in your business and your life, because they do cross over all the time. You do good in business, you do good in life. A lot of times it's you're making the impact as a servant's heart. We're also bringing guests on to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you in a servant's heart with stories, resources, tips, whatever it may be to help you impact your world. And speaking of that, here's your homework today. I want you to think about how you're going to serve yourself and serve others today, what impact you make doing that service. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't do it next month. Do it after the show or first thing in the morning. Just don't wait to do that, because it's a game changer for your life and for your business. I want to thank Pantheon, my sponsor for this podcast show. They're a group of thought leader business owners. We're building this huge platform to impact and change your world. You can join this community, impact and change your business as well as the world as well. There'll be notes, a link in the show notes, or you can reach out to me for more questions. With that being said, the power of networking. We're all doing it. COVID brought it to us. It's important. It was important before, but it just came out more as COVID came, because we had to stay at our homes and do this virtual. But he's an expert. He's written a book we'll talk about. He's out there speaking to companies about this. So let's bring on our guest. Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. I'm so glad to be here.
Let's talk about the power of networking. What the heck is that?
Networking is so crucial. First of all, in business, of course, to me, that is the baseline of every business, but it's personal also, because you do personal networking. Listen, I network when I go to the grocery store, when I go shopping for clothing. Everything is networking. And the best part about networking is if you go in with the head of always thinking to give, not receiving, right? So if you're always thinking to help somebody and not looking to see how much you can get out of it, you get so much more out of it than anything before.
What's the first step of being a good networker?
Very simple. Be authentic. Be yourself. You just have to be yourself. You can't enjoy life if you're going to go around telling tall tales. You just have to enjoy it, be authentic, and of course, the ever popular being a good listener. If you're a good listener, if you're authentic, it will definitely do it for you.
And I love the good listener, because a lot of people are not. If you just look at Zoom rooms and people's screen goes black, yeah, maybe there's a reason. And I say this all the time. I like to bring it up. But are they really listening to if you were speaking, Michael? And they're probably not. Again, there's reasons for it, but listening just doesn't mean I say shut up and listen. I just make that point even bigger. But I talk to a lot of companies. I know you do as well. ROI is such a big word in business. What's my ROI if my team is networking?
Your team, if you do the networking properly, and what I mean by properly is doing the meeting is very important, but your follow-up is even more important. So it's how you follow up, and it's being enough emails. And I have a a great I can't I think of it. It's just it's my sauce. It's my cool sauce to how to follow up. And that is to send a follow-up thank you card, right? Because nobody receives regular mail anymore. They receive emails, they receive texts and everything else. But imagine being the person sitting down in your office or your home and you receive a card, a thank you card. Thank you very much for your time. I enjoyed talking to you. Hope to talk to you again soon, Mike. And that's it. So it's the power of the thank you card.
That's a great tip, audience. Servant's heart, networking. How do they go together?
They go hand in hand. They really do. Because as I said, you're looking to give. You know, if you have a servant's heart, you are always looking to help somebody else. You're always looking to help your fellow man. And if you're looking to give, then you're not looking to receive. My my favorite line, I don't want to say line because it doesn't sound very informal, but when I'm at a networking table and I'm listening to somebody, I'm having them speak, and I listen to all about what they are and how they do it and everything else. I say, you know something? I like you. I like the way you do business. How can I make you more successful? How can I be a good referral source for you? And usually that blows their minds. It's like, well, wait a minute. I don't even know what you do yet. Well, that's not the important part. The important is let me know what you do. I'm going to try to help you to be more successful. Yes, I'll tell you what I'll do, what I do, and whatever. But let me do this for you.
Asking questions. That's the part of the listening, because you got to ask questions to listen. You got to
Yeah,
start somewhere, right?
let's start somewhere.
Let's talk about the book, Networking Unleashed. Powerful title, but what do you mean by unleashed?
Because you're letting go. You're letting everything your past networking skills, I don't want to say aren't worth it anymore, but you need to expand that. Ever since the pandemic, people have lost their minds. They turn to Zoom, they text, it's everything but talk to the person in person. So you just have to let go of all of that and talk because you need to be able to pick up the vibe of the person, the vibe of the room, and if you don't pick up on those things, you miss out on 70% of the reason why you're there to network.
And you don't want to miss out because opportunities are going out the door that you're missing. It's powerful. I'm glad you said that, Michael. Very good message is opportunities. And the worst thing that happens is that nothing happens and you just move on to the next opportunity. It's really
Precisely.
that situation. What's better, in person or virtual networking?
Both have a place to be. Okay. Virtual is very good if you're dealing with people from all over the country. So, and that's good you virtually. And because beforehand, before the pandemic, really, that wasn't really, it was difficult to do. You know, people were doing it, but they didn't know and things like that. Now it becomes a little bit more important when you want to reach from coast to coast. So, well, even more so on my podcast, I spoke to somebody from Israel one day, Australia the next day, England the next day, and it's great. It's great, but nothing replaces that in person, face to face networking because you get out of your you get out of your living room, you get out of your office, you get up where whatever it is that's going to hold you back, that's going to pull your attention away. There you can just concentrate 100% on who you're speaking with and what's going on around you.
There are different ways to network, whether it's in person or virtual, or do you just network the same way?
Well, I network the same way virtually and in person.
Okay.
Okay. So it's I'm being authentic. It's I'm being me. You have me. So whether I'm on Zoom or whether I'm in front of you, I'm the same person. I don't try to be one thing one way and nothing another way. So what you see is what you get. And I'm Me.
Well, that makes it simple too, which people I think overthink networking. They make it too complex. Ask a question, shut up, ask another. It's really as simple as that. This spills over into your personal life. We won't get too much into it, but your book probably ties into that a little bit. How does that help with the personal life?
Well, I'm very fortunate. I have a lovely wife of 36 years. I have two grown children, ages 30 and 33. Both found their mates. And I am in a very nice place, but I couldn't have gotten to where I am if I wasn't myself. I did the whole thing. I was a baseball coach for 16 years, an umpire for 3 years. I've done all that, okay? But I'm me. So when I was sitting on the board of the Little League, I was the same person as the one who was coaching and the one who was out there in the business world. I was just doing myself, and that's how it happened.
What's one of your one or two favorite lessons that people can learn from the book?
Well, I really teach from the book what I do when I coach people or I go to these conferences. You have to listen to not just what they are saying, but the way that they're saying and that what they mean by it. And you have to say, just, can you do me a favor? And the best thing when you're listening to somebody is repeat what they said and say, do I understand that this is what you mean? XYZ. Yes, it is. Okay, great. Then what about this? And that tells you the person that you're listening to them, that you actually were listening. And that it's so, because the kids today, you know, it's the cell phone, right? And they always have their fingers in the cell phone. I always say, it wasn't in the book, but I always say, take the cell phone, put it in your pocket, turn it off, put on vibrate, whatever, put it in your pocket. Don't even turn it upside down on the table because that's a distraction. Take all your
Yeah.
distractions away.
And I'm gonna be controversial, and you brought it up, so we're going to join together on this. Social media is not listening. And you go to restaurants, and I do all the time, and see some of these tables are all on their phone. Nobody's talking, or one person's talking. Yeah, you're going to go crazy. I know.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, when my wife and I went out to dinner and we saw a man and his son at the table, just on their phones. So I said, "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm talking to my son." He said, "You're talking to your son that's sitting right across from you?" He goes, "Yeah, it's the only way he'll really talk." That tells you what their family life is like. But we had a rule that once dinner began, you took all your cell phone, you put on the fireplace, you took them away, and that opened up the conversations for everybody. And it's just one of those things. But you have to really be dedicated to that philosophy, because I get business calls all the time. So I turn my phone off and I put it away. Even now, when the kids aren't in the house, when I'm just having dinner with my wife and I could really use the phone, no, turn it off, put away. That's an hour that I'm spending with my wife. And that's it.
I love that because I'm a very successful guy, made billions. And when we talked, he said, I'm one of the busiest guys around. I could take a $50 million call, but they can wait an hour. Hour does not won't make a difference. And I'm thinking, if he's doing that, then me and you and everybody listening could take an hour, right? It's not that
Absolutely.
critical, of course, unless it's emergency, and that's still an hour. You still gotta, that's a whole different thing we don't want to get into. I've talked to you a number of times, and we had great conversations. Thank you. But you're so passionate about this. What brought this passion on?
Well, my passion, I've been going on and off stages for about 10 years talking about this in different. I worked for a mortgage company in management. I worked for a law firm as a sales director. I talked to everybody about networking, but the more I saw how much that people were moving away from traditional networking, the more upset I became because I saw all the distractions, all the things. They weren't listening to the person. They weren't having a conversation with the person. They were having a conversation to have a conversation. And that that killed me because when I talk with somebody, listen, I'm listening to them. I want to know two of my last vendors that I spoke to, I became friends with because that's because who I am. So that passion came about within the last 4 or 5 years just because I wanted to educate, but I wanted to go out and tell everybody what they're missing when they don't network properly.
Missing is the key word because you are missing, audience. He's right. This guy's a rock star. Just saying that you are missing. As I always say, it's simple to do, but hard to take action because anybody can do this. That's the power of this skill set. Anybody can do it. In regards to networking, tell us a story of somebody you work with and how you turned them around or how networking was such a big ROI for them. Because ROI is the elephant in the room. We all need money.
Well, I'll tell you, when I went to Ohio to a roofing company, and I spoke to about 30 people there, and 4 people were sales. Everybody else was back office, warehouse, customer service, and I spoke to everybody. And I said, "Look, who here is a salesperson?" And the 3 people raised their hand. And I said, "No, no, no." The owner was in the back of the room. And I said, "Todd, who's the salesperson for the company?" He said, "Everybody should raise their hand because everybody's the face of the company." So I told him in my secret sauce, that was the word I was looking for before, secret sauce, for my follow up and how they should follow up, how their customer service should follow up with their customers, how their warehouse people should follow up with the customers that they help. So, and when they started doing it, and about 6 months later, I got a nice little email that from the president said, "Look, Mike, we took your suggestions, we did your ways of following up, and we increased our profits by $25,000." And that, for now, first of all, they were a $22 million company, so that's not a big thing, but it is because that's all added revenue. So I was very happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you told that story because I know people think, yeah, it's $10 million company. They gain 25,000, but what can they do with that 25,000? And maybe it turns into 50 or 100. We can't look at the numbers as much as we do. You got to look at your numbers. That's important in your SOPs and things like that. It's really powerful. So in networking, the big buzzword is transactional. How does transactional, because it's got to be part of it sometime somewhere. How does that fit in when you're networking?
That comes afterwards. It's not like you're a bank and you have that initial transaction. Your transaction will come later. Your first part is creating the relationship, not the customer. The days before the pandemic, you created your customer list. Look, I have 25,000 people on my customer list. But now it's creating relationships. When I worked for the mortgage company, I went to networking events. I came home with a shoebox filled with business cards. I said, "Look how good I did." I did horrible. Now, when I come home from a 3 or 4 hour event, I have 15 or 20 relationships. And I use my secret sauce for following up with every single one of those people. And I get a whole lot more out of that instead of that whole box of business cards.
Brilliant story. Audience, re-listen to this again because I've been out to events and hey, I got 20 business cards, but they're still struggling. They're struggling to pay bills. They're not financially healthy because you're absolutely right because they get cards. Now, you might get 20 cards and 10 are really relative. Yeah, I have no problem. You probably don't either. Those 10 people you're not going to contact, they just don't fit. I still say contact everybody because you never know who they know.
You put them in your CRM. That's all.
Yeah,
You put them into your CRM, put them on a drip campaign, let it go. But it's not the people you want to concentrate on.
Corrects the host. That's why he's a great guest. And I mean now humbly, because I forgot about that. Yeah, you put him in there. Maybe there's a fit down the road. Maybe it's a resource. We're coming to the end here. What is, there's so much I want to ask you, but what is the biggest tip if you were talking to a group of 100 people in business? What's one thing that you want them to know so they can network to get the ROI to build their company?
You have to begin. You have to start. You have to go to a networking event and put it in your calendar. Go every other week. There's enough networking events. Go to meetup.com and you can find a networking event. But chambers of commerce and all that, you have to go because it's an art and a talent. Networking is an art and a talent. And how do you get better is by practicing. Practice, practice, practice. And so you may not be good the first time out. You may not be good the second or third time out, but by the fourth or fifth time out, you're getting better. You're getting more leads. You're getting more relationships. So it's a building process. So my suggestion is to start and to go.
Perfect answer. You made me speechless, and I'm rare that Steve Ramona, host, is speechless. That's it. It just start and you practice makes perfect. I'll just leave it at that. And before I forget, almost was a bad host. You've got a great podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
My podcast is all about networking and communication. And it's all from all different businesses, all different walks of life. And I want to know how they succeeded, but how they networked to get where they are. And it's really an incredible podcast. I have a number of different uh, people coming on. So, it's all about, I'm trying to promote my word of networking and communication, but my word it changes so often that it's incredible because I listen to them, I say, oh, you know what? I never thought of that. So here, let me write this down, and I learned so much more out of it because listen, you never know everything. I People call me an expert in networking, and I say, look, don't call me an expert because I'm constantly learning. But I'm that good because I am constantly learning. So I learn from all my guests.
Yeah, that's powerful. This is so big. What's the name of the podcast, and where can they find it?
Networking Unleashed. It's the same as my book. You go to michaelaforman.com, and there is a podcast button. You click on that, but I'm also available on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
I want to thank you, Michael. This has been much better. I knew it'd be great, but you blew past great because you're awesome. Because this skill set is a game changer for anything you podcast, life, business. If you learn from Michael, audience, maybe from this podcast, you reach out to him. We'll get his contact info here in a minute. It will change your life. Just got to do it and take action. That's the big part. That's the problem. People listening, how can they reach out to you?
Well, again, the best way
Okay.
is my website. Or my email is michael@michaelaforman.com. But you go to michaelaforman.com and you can go on there and you can see all the lovely podcasts that I've been on. But you'll have access to a digital course, my book, and there's a contact form on there, and just fill it out, and I will get back to you within a day.
And I believe you're doing workshops as well, right?
I do workshops, breakout sessions, keynote speeches. I even do the workshops virtually. So, when I said that there's a place for virtual workshops, that's one of them where I can go out and teach right from where we are. And I do that in high schools and colleges as well, because I also talk about getting kids ready for the workplace.
The skill set kids need to know. If they learn this in their 20s, sky's the limit. Because I got blessed to be able to do that myself. Thanks again, Michael. I really appreciate you being on and taking the time. And audience, your call to action, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Love my subscribers, but here's why. Here's the true reason. Podcast, even Michael's, mine, who's ever, those links are gifts. And if you're listening to this podcast and listening to Michael going, you know what? I need to network better, but my friend needs to network better. We both need to share it with them. Share the link. because when you subscribe, you get sent a notification, hey, new podcast. Because here's the power of they listen and they reach out to Michael and maybe do one of his workshops, and you impacted them by growing their business. You can't love anything better than that. So think of these subscriptions and these podcasts as gifts of love and empathy that you're going to help somebody and make that impact I talked about in the beginning. And I want to thank everybody. Me and Michael want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. We'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.